This is the 168-piece toolkit from DeCare. So I'm just going to walk through some of the tools that come in this set today. The case itself is very solid, one-piece molded plastic. The hinges that hold it in place, they have already popped off multiple times. So not very sturdy on the hinges. All right, let's take a look at some of these tools here. Let's start with the hacksaw. Super cheap constructing, bendable, no replacement blades, very small. Not much of a tool here. Maybe for cutting some very small pieces of metal you could manage with this, but this hacksaw is not particularly good. On the other hand, there's a pair of pliers here, one a needle nose, one a more standard size. And these guys feel really hefty. They feel really solid to me. I used this one the other day, had some picture frames that were, had some staples in the back that needed to be pulled. And these guys felt really solid pulling these out. So I like both of these pliers here. This guy is not too bad. He also feels pretty solid. The metal feels pretty sturdy. Of course, a lot of these tools feel really wobbly right here, but they do work. I think you could use this guy very well. Similarly, this other pliers, this adjustable one, again, feels very solid. So all these pliers are very solid. It's a little, it's a little wobbly here, but a lot of these tools are like that. So that's not a bad tool. The hammer, yeah, this is probably the worst tool in the whole kit. I don't like the hammer at all. While the head itself is nice and solid, it's got this plastic piece here, and it is not even mounted straight. I'm not sure if you can tell in the film, but the head is actually off kilter. This feels super cheap. The handle down here, rubbery, kind of feels okay, but this plastic is pretty cringeworthy. I think if I took this outside and started using this for some real construction work, I'm pretty sure this would shatter and leave me nothing. If you're just using this around the house, again, I hung some pictures with this the other day, tapping in some very small brads into the wall. That worked, and that's about all you can do with this, though. No real construction work should be done with this. And a pair of wire strippers. So that seems to be a pretty decent tool. The spring seems pretty nice. The standard set of different sizes here. So I think this tool is just fine if you're doing some do-it-yourself projects around the house. So here's a razor. I used this the other day to cut some cardboard. Works just fine. It's reasonably solid, adjustable. The pieces on the end, they do break off. So you can reset these when the edge gets too dull. So that's a decent tool. Let's see, we got a whole set of little hex wrenches. These seem decent to me. These seem pretty solid. They're not bendable at all. And they come in a variety of sizes. Some of these are very, very large, quite large. And down on the little end, you do have a couple that are very small. Obviously, you don't get every size of hex that you would as if you had a, a more complete set. But for part of a starter set, yeah, that's pretty decent. Okay, well, this is one of the more random things that I have no idea why it's in here. PVC insulating tape. Yeah, don't have any idea why this little guy is in here. Okay, so we have 3 of these. These are bits for a screwdriver. They obviously have a variety of different sizes. You've got some stars, some hexes, some squares. Some are shorter, some are longer. They're all labeled appropriately. And they are used with, on the other side, we have it's a screwdriver, but it's a little ratcheting guy. And this tool is not particularly strong. I'm not a fan of this. This plastic here, it looks like it's metal, but it's not. It's plastic. It feels very cheap. I feel like this tool isn't going to last very long, but it does work. And so I think as long as you keep it for very lightweight tools around the house, fixing some simple stuff, I think that would work. And so again, you do have a nice variety of different bits to go in here, depending upon what you need to do. So there is that. Okay, let's see. On the other side, well, we have 4 of these little clamps typically used in small woodworking projects. These are very poor quality. The first time I grabbed and used this one, you can see that the 2 ends just broke right off. So they just immediately died. So I now have 3 of these, so not much value here. There's a little kit in the middle. This thing is an enigma to me. I would normally assume a kit like this would have a bunch of screws or nails or things for hanging things on the walls. There is a handful of one size of screw, a handful of one size of nails, a couple of these guys for hanging pictures on the wall, and then there's just random nuts and bolts with little washers that have no value, and then there's these literally just pieces of nothing plastic. So this is pretty bad. I don't know why you would include this. This could be a valuable addition if you would put something more useful in here, but DeCare, I don't know what they were thinking when they put those in there. So there's those. There's a set of 5 of these very small screwdrivers. So these would be for perhaps if you're working in your computer and you need to unscrew something smaller. So more delicate work. They do rotate on the end so that you can hold them and rotate as you screw in. These are not bad. I like these. I like these 5 screwdrivers here. Speaking of screwdrivers, they do have 2 more traditional screwdriver, a flat and a Phillips. These seem very solid to me. They've got a rubbery sort of handle. Still a lot of plastic. A lot of these tools have a lot of this cheap yellow plastic in here. But these guys both seem very solid. I used the screwdriver as I was prying out, again, some of the staples on the back of that picture that I hung on the wall, and I was very, very happy with how these tools work. So these 2 screwdrivers seem quite fine to me, and they also have a pair of the same things that are smaller sizes. Again, 1 flat, 1 Phillips. So those all seem pretty good tools to me. There is a tape measure. It's 10 feet long, so it's not super long. And it's, again, very plasticky sort of feeling, but, you know, it works. The spring inside's got a fair amount of tension, and the little holder does hold it. So it's a decent, very small, but decent. This would be fine for work right around the house, I believe. Okay, we got a set of, what is that, 6 of these guys here. These guys, so they all come in metric sizes. Everything in this kit is metric. There's no American system, the SAE. These are all just, so there's 15 millimeters down to, 8 millimeters for the smallest one. So but they do seem very, very solid. This seems very strong. This seems very durable. I believe that these guys will be nice and handy. Okay, so you got a socket set. So over here you have the socket itself, and you know, it's pretty typical stuff. It's got the little adjuster to go the other way. The basic tool seems very heavy. Again, the plastic the handle is this cheap plastic. Not sure how long this is gonna last. I kind of feel for it. But back again on the other side, you've got a nice selection of the sockets to go on it. And so this is perhaps the thing that has the most, because you've got all the way from, what is it, the largest, 19 millimeters, all the way down to 4.5. So they've got a nice, good variety here. You won't need to buy, I think, another socket set. This will be handy. So that's a pretty decent addition to this this tool set. The smaller ones, which won't fit on that larger ratchet, there's an adapter here. So you can pull out the adapter, and one end of this goes on here. And there you go, and the other end goes on here. So again, that's how you can use this. Okay, and almost done here. Here's a level. Okay, there's a magnet on one side. No idea why there's a magnet on a level. So it's nice that there is a level. I used this level the other day, hanging pictures. It does work. I don't like this level, however. It's very cheap. It's very flimsy. This piece of aluminum or whatever they added on the side here is not very level. I would not trust this really to hang pictures very well. So I wish they had molded this out of one solid piece of plastic rather than try to put the magnet and this other piece of metal on the edge. I'm not sure why they did that. Not particularly amazing. Okay, a couple of other items just to round things out. There is a socket for spark plugs. So if you're changing the spark plugs on your car, there's that. There's a couple of different extender pieces. Again, to get the screws out to a longer place. This one is for, again, the screw bits. And this one is for the socket sets. So all in all, the good news here is there is a nice variety of tools. Again, everything from a screwdrivers to a hammer to sockets to pliers. It's a starting kit with a little bit of everything in it. Now, the bad news is the tools are very uneven. Some, like the pliers and the ratchet, seem super solid. I like the screws. Some, again, like the hammer and the hacksaw, just seem very cheap and not really quite worth having. But overall, it is a nice set of starter tools from DeCare.